Prices are going up everywhere, but there's nothing anyone can do because it's all a result of the war in Ukraine and the pandemic, and there are no corporations shamelessly exploiting this situation to make record profits. Hello there, you 5.3 or maybe 5.4 by now million awakening wonders. Here together through communication and connection, we create the opportunities denied to us by the mainstream and the institutions of power that tell us that simply by having these conversations, we're nut jobs, wackos, crackpots and conspiracy theorists. These start to become badges of honor. I see you say it in the comments below. You know I read your comments, don't you? I want to stay as connected to you as possible. That's why we're doing a story today about these price hikes, looking to see if anyone's benefiting from them. Before I get into that, I want to tell you to sign up to my mailing list so we can stay directly connected in case anything crazy goes on. I'll let you know about some wicked and interesting events that I'm up to. One in particular you'll be very excited about, and we can stay connected about a whole number of things. I'm also touring the UK. There's a link in the description for that, so come and see me live if you fancy it. Now let's get into this price hike narrative, shall we, guys? US inflation surged again last month to a new 40-year high of 7.9%, propelled by surging costs for gas, food and housing. Even before Russia's invasion, inflation was not only rising sharply, but also broadening into additional sectors of the economy. This reminds me a little bit of the crisis in hospitals pre-pandemic, where staffing shortages driven by the pursuit of profit were ultimately blamed on the pandemic. Oh, the pandemic is causing all these problems, when really there are economic and institutional problems that the crisis can be used to mask, that the crisis can be an opportunity. Again, this is not unique to the war in Ukraine or the pandemic. This is an ideology that's been written about by some pretty credible academics, and you can look it up yourself. Naomi Klein's shock doctrine being one example. The cost of putting food on the table is the highest it's been in 40 years. An additional charge just for putting it on the table? You capitalist pigs! The biggest food price hikes are in meats, with pork and beef up 14% to 20% compared with a year ago. But many of the most profitable US corporations are raising prices under the pretext of inflation to boost profits and shareholder returns at the expense of consumers, an analysis revealed. I suppose that wouldn't surprise you, would it? That, in a sense, corporations are looking for opportunities to profit, and if there is an additional opportunity, even presented in the form of a crisis, why would they not take it? That's their modality. In a sense, this is not about personal mendacity, it's about an institutionalized mentality. The machine has already been programmed. People talk a lot in the kind of industry I work in about the algorithm, like that there's an underlying force that determines the way of things, functioning to all intents as a kind of digital deity. Well, the economy is a comparable entity. Once you set the program to pursue profits and you remove any human intervention, possibility of regulation or uprising, then there's a certain inevitability to this type of thinking, these type of patterns, this type of profiteering. 30 leading companies in major categories of the US Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index, including food, energy, commodities, healthcare and shelter, have hiked prices while collectively increasing their profits by $151 billion. That figure is according to analysis by the watchdog group Accountable US. Now, if you're increasing your profits, that means that the price hike is not to redress a problem. We've got to hike the prices. Bloody Putin. He's evil. What'll he do next? Oh no, he's hiked the price of my business. Putin! How can I stay mad at you, Putin? I'm rich, I tells ya. Increasing their profits by $151 billion in a time of crisis. Where have I heard that before? Did anything happen during that pandemic? Just check for me. There wasn't a massive wealth transfer, was there, during the pandemic? I don't know. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist, so I'm always on the lookout for a conspiracy. Did, during the pandemic, some wealth get transferred in the general direction of already wealthy interests? For example, were new billionaires minted? Just check for me, just make sure it's not a conspiracy. Otherwise, people might start thinking that crises are used to create profit. And then, is it such a big leap to say that crises are created to create profit? I mean, I don't know. Across nearly every single industry that is measured for price changes, we're seeing highly profitable corporations demand more money for consumer staples that families depend on without a good reason why, said Accountable US President Kyle Herrig in a statement. Are you a family? Yes, we're a family. Are there some staples that you depend on? Yeah, like food and shelter. We're gonna need more money for those. Oh, is there a reason why? No. Well, not a good one. We just want the money. These companies would have consumers believe they marked up prices just to keep up with outside costs. Yeah, because then you can't really question it. Oh, Putin! But the tens of billions in extra profits and generous giveaways to investors last year show otherwise. Generous giveaways to investors. I'm sorry, we are gonna have to raise profits. But we're a family. I know, there's nothing we can do. You've got a good reason. Listen, quiet. Hey guys, come over here! Woohoo! Woohoo! That is the wealth transfer in action. That's breaking it down. Adding insult to injury. Wanker. Adding insult to injury, these same companies increased spending on shareholder handouts like stock buybacks and dividends by 25%, totaling over $140.6 billion, raising serious questions whether industry price hikes correspond with their own added costs during the pandemic, given the staggering level of profit that they are enjoying and their extreme generosity to shareholders. Well, I think I can answer that. If there's a profit, and it's a staggering one, then obviously it's not in line with their own increased costs, because otherwise the profits would have remained stable or possibly even decreased. I mean, I'm not that good at maths, but it's basic. It simply doesn't add up, Herrig said. Despite what they claim, these highly profitable businesses do have a choice, and they're choosing to fatten their bottom, don't be childish, bottom line, better, rather than keep consumer prices stable. But probably their bottoms too. As grocery prices increased 6.5%, the country's largest supermarket chains, Walmart, Kroger and Costco, benefited from price increases while seeing their fiscal year net incomes increase by a total of $238 million and increasing stock buybacks and dividends by over $12 billion. Medical care prices increased by 2.2%. The biggest drug makers, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer. Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer. I've heard of those guys. What have they been doing over the pandemic? They probably mind their own business. And AbbVie saw profits jump by over 90% to $54 billion while boosting, where do I keep hearing that word, boosting shareholder handouts by nearly $2.6 billion in 2021. Where's all this money coming from? You! As gas and electric utility prices climbed 24.1% and 6.3% respectively, the three biggest US gas and electric companies, Exelon, Duke and Southern Company, all benefited from higher rates, with profits climbing by $1.6.4 billion while spending $7.3 billion on shareholder handouts in the financial year 2021. Well, that doesn't sound like it's all Putin's fault, does it? Or the pandemic's. If it was, where's this money coming from? Natural gas exporter Cheniere CEO Jack Fusco said the Ukraine invasion is good for business. Oh, well done, mate. It's tragic what's going on in Eastern Europe, but if anything, these high prices and the volatility drive even more energy security and long-term contracting. You don't seem to be dwelling too much on the tragedy. Yeah, no, it's tragic. I don't know. Boo. But hey! The Biden White House has decided to stop tying inflation to corporate power. Oh, okay, that's nice. The Washington Post reports that when the prepared congressional testimony of a senior administration official was recently circulated inside the White House, it included a passage tying inflation to corporate consolidation and monopoly power, but that language was deleted from the remarks before they were delivered. This thing here that ties inflation to corporate consolidation and monopoly power, could we get rid of that? Oh yeah, sure. Why do you want to get rid of it? Because it points out that there's a connection between inflation and corporate consolidation, and we can't just blame Putin. Boo. According to the Post, the former Democratic Treasury Secretary Larry Summers and Jason Furman, a top economist in the Obama administration, have been critical of attempts to link corporate market power to inflation. Business bashing is terrible economics and not very good politics in my view, Summers said in an interview. That's the Democrats there, just dismissing business bashing there and denying an evident connection that had to be deleted in order that it could not be plainly observed. Let's just make sure that no one in government's got any connection with these corporations that would make them lose perspective of their priorities, which should be you and running a safe and better world for all of us to prosper in. 1 in 4 US senators still hold fossil fuel investments worth as much as a combined $12.6 million, according to Sludge's analysis of financial disclosures. At least 100 US House members own investments in the fossil fuel industry. Could that be a factor? Wait! I've noticed that some senators and Congress people own stocks in energy companies. Do you think that that's affecting their ability to regulate those industries? Don't be ridiculous, you conspiracy theorists. Stop business bashing, or I'll bash you. The investments are either owned by members of Congress, their spouse jointly, or by a dependent child. Dependent child. Of the 100 Congress people invested in fossil fuel companies, 59 are Republicans and 41 are Democrats. More or less the same then. In December 21, the oil and gas industry was on track to match the $112 million it reported spending on federal lobbying last year, according to Open Secrets. 6 Democrat senators have received hundreds of thousands of dollars in combined campaign contributions from fossil fuel corporations. But to draw a connection between the $112 million of lobbying, the hundreds of thousands in campaign donations, and the favourable policies and the inability to regulate, curtail not only the profits, but even the rhetoric around it. People can't openly say, hey, are they not exploiting this situation to generate price hikes that lead to more profits and shareholder payouts? Because we can prove that the profits and shareholder payouts are happening. So if it is because it's costing more money to provide the services, wouldn't the profits remain the same? Oh no, you don't understand business very well at all, you business basher. You're a business basher, that's what you are, and a conspiracy theorist too. It seems to me that the options that you're being invited to pursue is shut up, eat your dumb porridge from the mainstream media, which, by the way, has probably jumped 20%. What's this filthy gruel? Well, it's 20% more expensive. Is there a reason for it? No. And if you try to talk about this stuff openly, then you're called a conspiracy theorist. Do you think that it's possible that these kind of discourses are closed down because they don't want us to talk about this stuff so that we don't say, hey, we shouldn't tolerate this. Why don't we create political movements and systems that are outside of this model and populate them with our people, our ideas and our energy and just ignore this atrophying, old, useless, decaying, decrepit, corrupt system? I don't know. That's one possible alternative. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments below? We care more about what you think than what I think, and I care a lot about what I think. It's what's in my mind all day long. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at this one or this one. Please sign up to my mailing list. It's just one little click away. Look, if you want to come and see me live, there's a link in the description so you can do that. And please, most of all, stay free.